guys, we've all wrestled here in NXT Takeover London, finished about an hour ago, and I've got to say one thing straight away, and I don't care if that's not the first match I'm talking about, but I have not stopped saying this since the show finished. Bayley retained. So I'm going to leave you with that, and we're going to get on to the first match. So I will talk more about what I just said in a minute, but let's get on to the first match. We went, of course, there was no match on the pre-show, there were only 30 minutes. So we went with the opener, Asuka versus Emma. Second best match on the card. Asuka and Emma told a very good story. Dana Brooke on the outside was very good, even though her mic work does still need some work. It was very good back and forth. I felt like Emma had a chance of winning at certain points. The interruption from Dana Brooke was very smart because it showed that Emma would do anything to win and beat Asuka, you know, the person who is undefeated and is very much one of the top divas in the division at the moment, along with the Nia Jax, the Bayley, in terms of progression up the rankings. Asuka's one of the top ones, and Emma needed to knock her off that perch, and she tried to knock her off that perch, and she pushed and pushed and pushed, and she really did. She fought out with a lot of Asuka's moves, like the armbar, the Asuka lock. She fought out of a submission, I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. Something else. But in the end, it didn't. She wasn't submitted. She was pinned by Asuka, who hit the high kick on Emma for the 1-2-3. It was a physical battle. The spinning back fists, which Asuka was hitting on Emma, were catching them right in the jaw. So they must have been pretty painful. It was a great match. I think that Asuka and Emma did a fantastic job, and I'm going to bump up the grade I've given it because it was really, really good. Second best match on the card. 3.5 stars. The first time on an NXT pay-per-view since Unstoppable, Bayley hasn't had the best match on the show. Or even the best women's match on the show. So, a great match. I think 3.5 stars. They did very, very well. It's not quite horsewoman quality, but Emma and Asuka did a fantastic job of opening the show, even though I was sceptical when it started. I honestly really enjoyed it. Asuka and Emma did a really good job. Great way to open the show. We move on to the NXT Tag Team titles, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. With that, by the way, Asuka winning means my prediction was correct. We move on to the NXT Tag Team titles, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy against Dash and Dawson. Dash and Dawson are an easy tag team to hate, and that's why I like them. They're quick tags, they're very heely stuff with moves like just utilising the ropes, utilising the referee having his back turned, things like that are just very, very good, and I like it. Enzo and Cass were the clear favourites here from the crowd. The crowd were fantastic on this night. They were so vocal, especially towards Baron Corbin, which we'll get to in a minute. But Enzo and Cass were clear favourites. They got one of the biggest pops of the night, along with Bayley, Finn Balor, and I would say Asuka. But yeah, they were clear favourites. Everybody wanted them to win. Carmella came out wearing a weird outfit, which is kind of something I noticed. Enzo looked weird as well. I didn't quite get the outfit. Dash and Dawson looked ready, and that's what I like. Dash and Dawson looked very strong in this matchup. They did everything to retain the titles, and in the end did retain the titles, but only fractionally, because at one point, and I predicted Dash and Dawson would win, but I did think at one point that Enzo and Cass would win. I felt like after they hit the Air Enzo on Scott Dawson, I thought that was it. I thought Dash and Dawson were going to lose tag titles and we were going to have a colossal pop. I think, I'll get to the finish in a minute because the finish was really impressive. I think them losing, Enzo and Cass losing, does wonders for them. I know they didn't win the tag titles, but this just makes people sympathise with them even more when they came so close again. And that's going to make them one of those teams that people are going to want to see on the main roster beat the New Day. They're going to want to be one of those teams that people are going to love on the main roster. The main roster needs more character in its tag teams at the moment. We've got the New Day, but no one else. And we need more teams like Enzo and Cass on the main roster. I hope they go up to the main roster and kill it against a team like the New Day. Their personalities are going to clash and be fantastic. So the finish, I've just got to talk about the finish. So yes, Dash and Dawson did win. The finish came when they hit a top rope shatter machine on Enzo, because they knew it was very smart. They worked on Cassie's leg, but only halfway through the match, so you had to be smart to really notice that. Scott Dawson locked in the Lucky 13 on Colin Cassidy, and nobody really noticed, which I was like, that's the Lucky 13. Corey Graves, that is your finisher being used on Colin Cassidy. So that was really, really cool. But in the end, a top rope shatter machine thrown off the top, boom, double knees to the chest, 1, 2, 3, Enzo is done, Dash and Dawson retain the tag titles. Very good tag match. I gave it 3¼ stars. Fantastic work from both teams. I'm hoping Dash and Dawson can have a rivalry with Jordan and Gable next, which should be an awesome pure wrestling versus pure fight match. Moving on, we have the, I'd say, slowest point on the show, which is Baron Corbin versus Cruz, and that puts me 2-0, by the way, in predictions. Corbin and Cruz. Corbin was hated by the crowd. He was sworn at. They were saying, "F you, Corbin." He got sworn at endlessly in this matchup, and I think that added to the character of Baron Corbin. I think that was really good. I loved how vocal the crowd were in saying to Corbin, you know, "F you, Corbin, we don't like you," because Corbin is sort of, they're pushing him to a degree that maybe he shouldn't be pushed. And in the end, we know how much Corbin is pushed, because Corbin honestly shocked me and my friend who were watching at the same time. We were literally shocked to see Baron Corbin pick up the victory over Apollo Crews. Corbin was hit with the shooting star press, standing shooting star press, and kicked out. And that was like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming. Apollo tries the sit-out powerbomb, Corbin counters, pushes him away. End of days, and I thought Apollo Crews would kick out, but he didn't. 1, 2, 3. Baron Corbin picks up the victory over a game Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews did probably have the spot of the night, though, when he reversed a end of days and did a moonsault, which was pretty insane. But I gave the match, I think, 2.5 stars. I think it was decent for what it was, but not thoroughly entertaining, and it wasn't, you know, as good as I thought it could have been, to be honest. It was the one of 2 matches on the show that disappointed me, I would say. Well, no, it was the one match on the show that disappointed me, actually. Moving on, Bayley retained, as I said at the start of this video. And I'm going to say it again, Bayley retained. Bayley retained. I was so strong in my predictions about Bayley losing. But when in this matchup, NXT Women's title, Bayley versus Nia Jax, the matchup itself was better than I thought it'd be. It wasn't particularly great. It wasn't good. It was fine. It was at that level of fine. It was the worst match on the show. It's one of Bayley's weakest matches. But it was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't necessarily good. But it was fine. I gave it 2.25 stars. Fine. I've given matches that and said they're fine. What I did think was bad about this matchup was Nia Jax's 4 moves. She hits clotheslines, Samoan drops, spine busters, and leg drops. She gave Bayley something like 6 Samoan drops in a row. Bayley kicks out. And the best part about this matchup was Bayley selling. That's why I gave this match such a high grade. Bayley's selling and the character development of Bayley and how she looked like such a champion. And I didn't expect this. I was gripped only by the fact that Bayley was holding on. Only by that fact. Nothing else was gripping. It was boring to me, but only when Bayley was fighting and trying to stay in it, and especially the last minute was great, I think, for Bayley. Nia Jax hit 6 Samoan drops. Bayley kept kicking out. Nia Jax then went on to hit 6 leg drops, which is Nia Jax's finisher, remember? A finisher's a weak leg drop. So it just proves that Nia Jax needs a new finisher, to be honest. She hit 3 spine busters, and that was really it. That was all Nia Jax did all match, to be honest. A few clotheslines. Bayley, in terms of moves, she got some elbows in, she got some high-flying offense. She hit a swanton bomb, which I thought was really impressive. A little callback to Jeff Hardy. I believe she said she actually liked the Hardys. So, and Alita as well. But Bayley hitting the swanton bomb was really cool. In the end, Bayley on the top rope wraps a guillotine on Nia Jax. Nia Jax pulls her off the top rope. Spinebuster. 1, 2, Bayley kicks out. Bayley goes for a guillotine again. Oh no, sorry, she didn't. Nia Jax didn't pin her. Nia Jax just went to pick her up. Bayley put her in a guillotine. Nia Jax spinebuster again. Goes to pick her up. Bayley puts her in a guillotine. And on the third attempt at a guillotine, Bayley gets Nia Jax. She doesn't let go. Nia Jax is pulling at Bayley's hair. Nia Jax is slapping Bayley. Bayley has the guillotine cinched in around Nia Jax. Nia Jax is sitting down. She's bending over. And in the end, the perfect view for it, Nia Jax tapped out. Bayley retains. Bayley retains. Bayley retains the NXT Women's title. I cried, okay? For two reasons. One, I didn't see that coming. I never saw Bayley running. When Bayley won the title from Sasha Banks, I saw that coming. I still cried. This time, I didn't see it coming. So that does give it slightly a bit of an edge. The match wasn't as incredible as the Sasha Banks matches. I'm not saying that at all, because I would be idiotic for saying that. I gave the match 2.25 stars. So, it was fine, okay? It wasn't bad. It wasn't particularly good, but it wasn't bad. And I'm going to say it wasn't bad because of Bayley's selling, Bayley's effort, and Bayley's the ending. The ending was fantastic, and it shows how diverse Bayley's offense is. So kudos to Bayley for pulling out a decent match from Nia Jax. She tried. She really did, and she just about did pull out a flying match. So kudos to Bayley. Moving on, we find out Sami Zayn will be coming back next week on NXT. That's freaking brilliant. Unfortunately, when I come out of the show, the only thing I could say in my mind and to my friend and on Facebook was Bayley retained. Because Bayley retained. And that is literally all I can think about. Bayley retained. And I'm so happy for that. I did cry. I did cry. And it was probably right and it was probably smart from WWE to book it like that. But it just came out of nowhere. And I think that's really good of them. But the match was fine, as I said. It just wasn't spectacular. And I wasn't expecting it to be spectacular because Nia Jax was in it. But I genuinely did cry. I felt really emotional when Bayley retained. Bayley retained. Moving on to the main event, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. Could have been better. I expected it to be a match of the year quality candidate. In terms of main events of NXT pay-per-views, I'd say it's pretty good for this year. We've had some great ones. Owens and Zayn, Owens and Balor, and then Balor and Joe. We've had some great main events. Oh, and, of course, Sasha Banks and Bayley. Can't forget that one. Match of the year. Or one of them. Second. So yeah, Joe and Balor, sorry. It was great. I really enjoyed it. There was good back and forth. Joe, actually, saying good back and forth, Joe had a lot of this match in control. He went for a Coquina clutch very early on. He went for a Coquina clutch later on. He went for a muscle buster, which Balor countered into a sunset flip. He went for a Coquina clutch while Balor was on the other side of the ropes, so actually pulled him over the ropes, went to lock in the Coquina. Balor rolled over, double foot stomp to the chest, which was fantastic. It was a really cool chain there. Balor hit a few Pele kicks. Well, actually just caught him with a few Pele kicks. And the ending came. I really liked the ending. Joe realised he couldn't put Balor away. Hit him with this huge enziguri. Gets Balor on the top. Goes for a super muscle buster off the top rope. Balor counters. Pushes him down. Coup de grace. 1, 2, 3. It took one coup de grace to beat him, and I actually liked that. I gave the match 4 stars. I think Joe and Balor stole the show. After Asuka and Emma's really great match earlier on in the show, I do think Balor and Joe stole the show. I still will be leaving this show saying Bayley retained though. So, thanks for watching, guys. This has been my NXT Takeover London review. I hope you enjoyed the show. Overall, I would give the show 7.5 out of 10. I would say the main event was great. I would say the opener was great. There was some good stuff in between. There was a slow match. There was a fine match in terms of one athlete doing well. And so it was fine. 7.5 out of 10 is the weakest NXT show I would say of this year, but that's not incredibly bad considering the other ones have been pretty great. In terms of being better than TLC, I think TLC was better. I think the main event of TLC was better, and I'd say the opener of TLC was better, so I have to give it that. I would say that the women's match on the show was better though. The first women's match was better, and I would say Bayley and Nia Jax. I would say the emotion I got from that match and the story that was there was quite a story there, in honesty, and that was the good part of the match to me. The story that Bayley told, the story that Nia Jax kind of told with Bayley, which was the best part of the match. The wrestling was just pretty boring. So 7.5, it wasn't as good as TLC, which I believe I gave 8.5. So, thanks for watching, guys. This has been Revolver Ocelot. I'm sorry if this has been quick, it's quite late. Thanks for watching. This has been Revolver Ocelot. Again, like, comment, and subscribe for